Hi, fourth grade. So the location looks a little different and my weaving looks different because I'm on my coffee table at home, and when I packed up for our snow week, I forgot to bring my loom. So I just really quickly made one. And if you really love making these looms, you can totally do this with a paper plate. The only problem is sometimes the paper plate has a design on it you don't like. You could always paint your paper plate first and then weave on it. There's so many things you can do with weaving, and it's like just like you guys did. I just turned my paper plate into a loom using our template. So I should have exactly where you guys are. I warped my loom and then I wove until I had about an L's length, maybe a little longer, of yarn. You can weave until you're sick of that color, but you don't want to leave yourself with a tiny little bit. And if you do, you'll just have to pick out and unweave some stuff. You want at least an L. A little more is fine. Nothing too short, because what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to tie on a different color. Now, when we weave vertically next year, I will show you a different way to add a new yarn with no knots, but this way we're doing it with knots. So I have a new color. I know it's kind of tricky to do weaving on the same color as your warp lines. Some people find it pretty easy. Some people, it drives them bananas. If you have tried to use the needle that I think I put in your packet, it helps you pick up the lines easier. Your classmates are about 50-50, and some people love using the needle and some people just rather use their fingers. So when you're ready for your new color, whether you've run out or you're just decided, oh, I'm done with it, cut it down to about an L's length and then get your new yarn. Your new yarn, you want about an arm's span wide, so open your arms wide and cut it that way. If you have too much yarn, it knots really easy. If you have too little or too short pieces, you're constantly adding new pieces, and that's frustrating too. It just really depends on what you're looking for in your weaving. And there's no right or wrong for colors. You could use the same color the whole time if you want, or you can have 1,005 different colors. It's really up to you. So when you're ready for your new color, what I want you to do is line up the end of your yarn, your tail is connected, to an end of your other yarn. And you don't want to be weaving from the ball of yarn. You want to have an actual cut piece. So this is how I do it. I'm going to do this a couple times. So I line up my ends so they're stacked on top of each other. You need to make a circle out of these two ends. And you could use your table and make a circle like that. I use my fingers because they're right there. So I take my ends and I tie them around with both my fingers. I'm going to kind of line them up fiddly. And this is why if you only have a really short piece of yarn, it drives you nuts. So I have them around my fingers, and I pull my fingers out and I have a loop already. So whether you make a loop using the table or around your fingers, you want to have a loop, and then you want to take your two little tails and you're going to shove them down and up through that circle. Okay? And then you tie them off, just like that. So you're going to have a long tail here. You can trim it close to the knot like you want to. But now this is all one piece. So I'm going to go back to my end of my blue, and I'm going to just start weaving. I'm going to pretend like this is all one long piece of yarn. So I started over, so I'm going to go under. And I'm going to weave over, under a few, and then I'm going to pull it. So when I pull it now, you have a really long piece, and that knot stays together. Now, every now and then, you're going to have to kind of help that knot along because it might get stuck on a warp line, but that's okay. It's going to pop out weird, and don't worry about that. So just keep weaving, and eventually, let's see, I'm over. Mrs. Cole is one of those people that prefer a needle, but I can do it with my fingers too. I also like to have my weaving on my lap. I don't like to have it on a flat surface, but if I had it on a flat surface, you couldn't see me. So just weave a few warp strings and then pull it tight. So see, that's what I mean. When you now I'm going to start weaving blue. This is going to pop out, and that's okay. When we're all done and our plate is full, I'll show you how we can just tuck those away underneath and nobody's going to know. So if it's bothering you, you can tuck it away now. If it doesn't bother you, just leave it. So then you'll just keep weaving, and it's the same over under pattern. You just keep going and going and going. And when you run out of yarn, I'm going to show you one more time. you will, if I can find my end to my red, cut a new piece of yarn and tie it again. So let's say, we'll pretend this is all wove and I have it's longer than an L and I'm ready to switch my colors. So one more time, line up your ends. So they're like that. I like to wrap it around my 2 fingers, hold it and pull it out so I have a circle. Or you can go on your table and make a circle too. The main thing is you want these little ends that are over to tuck under and up through, and you pull it tight. And that's your knot. And then you trim your ends. So it's pretty easy, and you know it's good. You don't want to cut too close to your knot. It's nice and tight. It's not going anywhere. So you will just keep weaving, and if you need to keep watching this to figure out how to tie your ends, that's fine. It's that over your finger and through, which really makes a difference. So what I like you to do is change your color yarn at least once. Try to weave for about 20 minutes. See how far you get, because probably what we're going to do in class today, and then you're good for the week. This is by no means due at the end of today. This is something we're probably going to work on 2 or 3 more weeks, just because we want to fill our plate as much as we can, or your cardboard, not your plate. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Just watch your weaving. You want it to look like staggered. You should be able to see the bumps, and every other knot is over under. If you feel like it's just doing circles like a tire, that means somewhere along the line you skipped a warp line. So if you're having just things go around and around like a circle and they don't look like they're making a little bumpy pattern, check your work. A lot of weavers have to unweave a little bit before they keep going. And I know you're not with me, so I can't help you. So just try your best. If you notice yourself kind of making a tire versus an under over, you can try and fix it, or you can just stop yourself and just keep going. Just really watch that pattern, because once you get really in your groove and you go fast, it's really easy to make a few oopses. This is a great thing to do if you're watching a video or maybe a little TV or listening to music. Hopefully it's relaxing for you and not super stressful. Today is the second day for weaving, so it's a little tricky, but once you get through today, I promise you, weaving is going to be much easier. So if you have any questions, like I said earlier, just let me know. Good luck and happy knotting. Bye, guys.